Peppa Pig. Peppa goes ice skating. Today, Peppa and George are going ice skating. They have not been skating before.
Don't worry, George, says Peppa. Ice skating looks easy. I'll show you how to do it.
Well, first we need some skates, says Mummy Pig.
4 pairs of skates, please, Miss Rabbit.
There you go, says Miss Rabbit.
Happy skating!
Peppa's friends are skating today too. They are all very good.
Shall I teach you how to skate, Peppa?
asks Susie Sheep.
No, thank you,
replies Peppa.
I'm sure I can already do it.
But ice skating is not as easy as it looks.
Oof!
Peppa falls onto her bottom on the ice.
Ouch! Ice skating is too hard,
cries Peppa.
I don't want to do it anymore.
Never mind, Peppa, says Daddy Pig. Everyone falls over when they are learning how to skate. Mummy Pig shows Peppa what to do. It's easy, she says. Just push with your feet and glide, see? Soon Peppa is skating all by herself.
Look at me, she shouts. I'm skating. Ice skating is fun. Whee! Come on, George, says Peppa. Now I'll teach you how to skate.
But George doesn't need Peppa's help. Look at George, cries Mummy Pig. He can skate beautifully.
Yes, George, you did very well for your first lesson, says Peppa.
Peppa and George love ice skating. Everyone loves ice skating.
Mummy taught me to skate,
says Peppa.
but I taught George.
The end. Peppa Pig Bicycle Race. It is a lovely sunny day. Peppa and George are going out for a ride. Peppa rings her bell. Ding ding.
Come on, George,
she says.
follow me.
Peppa is riding her bicycle. George is riding his tricycle.
Hurry up, George,
calls Peppa.
You're going so slowly,
says George. Peppa sees her friends, Danny Dog, Susie Sheep, and Rebecca Rabbit. They are riding their bicycles too. Danny points down the hill.
Let's have a race to the bottom,
he says. Danny, Susie and Rebecca ride very fast. Peppa rides quite fast. George does not ride very fast at all.
George is riding a baby bike,
snorts Peppa.
So are you,
says Danny.
You've still got stabilizers.
Peppa looks down at her bike. It is the only one with stabilizers on it.
Let's ride up the hill again,
says Danny.
No,
says Peppa.
I think I'll stay here.
Peppa asks Daddy Pig to take her stabilizers off. Do you think you can ride without them? He says.
I can do it,
Peppa nods.
I can.
She gets on her bicycle and starts pedaling. Uh-oh, Peppa falls onto the grass. Riding without stabilizers is hard. George giggles.
It is not funny.
Peppa frowns. Daddy Pig helps Peppa to get back on her bicycle. Let's try again, he says. Ready, steady, go!
Don't let go of me, Daddy,
says Peppa. Don't worry, says Daddy Pig. I've got you. Peppa pedals faster and faster. You're doing really well, shouts Daddy Pig. Peppa looks round. Daddy Pig has let go. Ho ho, he cries. You're cycling on your own. Peppa can ride on her own without stabilizers.
Wow!
She goes to find her friends.
Look at me,
shouts Peppa.
I can ride my bike properly.
Danny, Susie and Rebecca all cheer. Hooray!
Come on,
says Peppa.
let's race down the hill again.
Danny, Susie and Rebecca ring their bells. Peppa loves riding her bicycle. Everyone loves riding bicycles. The end. Peppa's best birthday party. It was Mandy Mouse's birthday, and she was having her party at Cheese World.
Wow!
What is Cheese World, Mandy?
asked Peppa.
It's the most fun place ever,
Replied Mandy.
There's a cheese river and a cheese mountain, and best of all, there's a cheese castle.
Wow! Everyone gasped. When they arrived for the party, Mummy Mouse took Mandy and her friends to a huge cheese-shaped arch.
Welcome to Cheese World,
announced Miss Rabbit.
Have any of you been here before?
I have.
Cried Mandy.
It's amazing.
Wow!
Oh, hello, Mandy.
Said Miss Rabbit.
Nice to see you again.
Everyone followed Miss Rabbit past some cheese trees and cheese bushes.
So, said Miss Rabbit, everything at Cheese World is about cheese.
Cheered Mandy.
That's right,
Said Miss Rabbit.
and we'll start by sailing on the river of cheese.
Mandy cheered again. When they got to the cheese river, 2 little cheese boats were waiting.
All aboard.
Called Mandy.
And hold tight.
Added Miss Rabbit, as the boats bobbed along.
Miss Rabbit,
Said Peppa.
are these boats made of real cheese? No, Peppa,
Replied Miss Rabbit.
they are made from pretend cheese. Oh,
Said Peppa.
we are now entering Cheese Mountain.
Said Miss Rabbit as they sailed inside a cave.
Is it made of real cheese?
Asked Peppa.
No,
Replied Miss Rabbit.
but this is what it would be like to sail through a cheese mountain.
Wow!
Ooh!
Cried Mandy and her friends.
If cheese mountains existed.
Finished Miss Rabbit. After the boat ride, Mr. Rabbit showed the group his cheese aeroplane ride. Mandy explained what to do.
If you pull the lever, the plane goes up.
She said,
And if you push the lever, the plane goes down.
once the children were safely in their airplanes, Mr. Rabbit started the ride. Up, up and away, he cried,
This is brilliant.
said Molly Mole.
Look, there's a sun made of cheese.
Mandy called,
And the clouds are cottage cheese.
gasped Susie.
I can see the whole world, said Peppa. It's all cheese.
Was that fun? Asked Mummy Mouse once the children finished flying.
Yes!
Everyone cheered happily.
I told you Cheese World is the most fun place ever,
cried Mandy. Next, it was time to visit the Castle of Cheese. Hello, Mandy, said Grampy Rabbit when they arrived at the entrance. Have you told your friends about my Castle of Cheese?
I told them it was the best bit,
said Mandy. It is, said Grampy Rabbit. It's where we get to smell real cheese. No pretend cheese here. Once they were inside, Grampy Rabbit said, Let's start by smelling a mild cheese. Molly and Pedro Pony both took a good sniff. Said Molly.
This smells nice.
I like it too, said Pedro.
Grampy Rabbit sniffed the cheese, but he didn't think it had any smell at all. Now for something a little bit stronger, said Grampy Rabbit, taking the cover off a second piece of cheese. He took a big sniff. That's more like it, he said. A stinky one. Pedro sniffed the cheese. He cried.
It smells like my daddy's socks.
And now, said Grampy Rabbit, it's time for the strongest cheese in the whole world. Grampy Rabbit carefully lifted the cover off the third cheese and took a huge sniff. Now that's what I call cheese, he said. Next it was Mandy's turn to smell the super strong cheese.
It's the nicest smell I've ever smelled,
she said.
You love smelling cheese, don't you, Mandy? Said Mummy Mouse.
Yes,
cried Mandy.
but I love eating it even more.
Funny you should say that, said Mummy Mouse.
Mummy Mouse brought out a cake covered in candles.
Wow,
It's birthday cake time, she said.
cheesecake,
Gasped Mandy.
my favourite.
Hooray! Everyone cheered.
This is the best birthday ever.
Cried Mandy. And this is the best birthday party ever, said Peppa. Happy birthday, Mandy.
The end. Peppa's Gym Class. Peppa and her friends are going to the gym today. Everybody has got their gym kit on, except Pedro. Pedro is wearing a superhero costume.
I thought he was dressing up day to day,
He says. Grampy Rabbit is the gym teacher. He swings down from the top of the climbing frame.
Wow. Do we have to do that?
Gasps Emily Elephant. No, laughs Grumpy Rabbit. That's only for big athletes like me. Let's warm up, shouts Grumpy Rabbit. Stretch, stretch, stretch. Everybody reaches up to the ceiling. Now wobble like a jelly, says Grumpy Rabbit. Everybody shakes like a jelly on a plate. It is time for the first adventure. I want you to pretend that this room is a jungle, whispers Grumpy Rabbit.
But where are the trees?
Asks Susie Sheep. You'll have to pretend, replies Grumpy Rabbit. Now imagine a river, says Grampy Rabbit. Walk on this beam to get across it. Peppa and her friends tiptoe across the river. Well done, my little explorers, cheers Grampy Rabbit. Grampy Rabbit shows the children how to swing across a swamp full of crocodiles. That's what he did when he was in the jungle.
I can't see any crocodiles, says Pedro. You've got to pretend,
whispers Peppa.
What's our next adventure?
asks Danny Dog. Grampy Rabbit points to a funny table. This is a vault, he says. Pretend that it's a dinosaur and crawl through its legs. Peppa and her friends start crawling. Madame Gazelle comes back in. Did you have a good gym class, children? She asks.
Yes,
cries Peppa.
we made it through the jungle.
You are real little explorers now, laughs Grampy Rabbit. The end. Peppa Pig, Super Peppa. It was all about me week at playgroup. Now, children, began Madame Gazelle, I'd like you to start by each drawing a picture of yourself. Ooh! cried Peppa and her friends, grabbing the paints, crayons and glitter. When they'd finished, they put their pictures on the wall. We look very important on the wall, said Peppa proudly. You are very important, replied Madame Gazelle. I'm a bit wonky, said Susie Sheep, giggling. Next, Madame Gazelle asked the children to think about what they all like to do. I like bouncing, said Zoe Zebra, jumping up and down. I like standing on one leg, said Freddie Fox, trying to balance. I like laughing, said Candy Cat, rolling on the floor and giggling. Meow. Ow! Ow! I like howling really loudly, howled Wendy Wolf. Lovely, said Madame Gazelle. You all like to do lots of different things. Now, think about what you are good at, said Madame Gazelle, and what you want to be when you grow up. I'm good at being clever, said Edmund Elephant. I'm going to be an astronaut and an anthropologist. I'm very good at being brave, said Danny Dog. I'm going to be a champion skateboarder. Whoosh! I'm good at eating carrots, cried Rebecca Rabbit. I'm going to be a carrot. Next week, I'd like you all to come dressed as what you want to be when you grow up, said Madame Gazelle. Peppa put up her hand. But I don't know what I want to be, she sighed. How will I know what to dress up as? Don't worry, Peppa, said Madame Gazelle. You can dress as anything you like, even a carrot. Everyone giggled. But how do I choose? asked Peppa. Why don't you talk to some grown-ups to see what they do? suggested Madame Gazelle. They can help you decide. Okay, said Peppa. Just then, the doorbell rang and it was time to go home. Goodbye, everyone, said Madame Gazelle. See you next week. Goodbye, Madame Gazelle, called the children. The next day, Peppa asked Mummy Pig about her work. I write my stories on the computer, explained Mummy Pig. When I think of an idea, I go like this. Mummy Pig wrote an amazing story and read it to Peppa. Wow, Mummy, I want to be a writer just like you, said Peppa. You write super stories. You can be a writer, Peppa, said Mummy Pig. Why don't you try writing a story now? But what if I can't think of a story? Asked Peppa. You have to believe you can, said Mummy Pig. But what if people don't like it? Asked Peppa. You have to believe they will, said Mummy Pig. Okay, said Peppa. And she told Mummy Pig a wonderful story about a princess, a frog, and a little prince. What a super story, said Mummy Pig. You see, Peppa, when you believe you can do something, it helps you to do it. After lunch, Daddy Pig took Peppa to his muddy puddle jumping competition. I hope you win, Daddy, Peppa whispered. I might, replied Daddy Pig. I am a bit of an expert. Daddy Pig leapt high up into the air and landed with a perfect splash. He won the golden cup, and the crowd cheered, Hooray for Daddy Pig! Wow, Daddy, I want to jump in competitions just like you, cried Peppa. You're a super muddy puddle jumper. Why don't you try jumping now, Peppa, said Daddy Pig. But I'm not an expert like you, replied Peppa. You can be an expert, said Daddy Pig. You just have to practice. Daddy Pig helped Peppa practice jumping. Then Peppa leapt high up into the air and made an enormous splash. The crowd were covered in mud, and they cheered and cheered. Hooray for Peppa! That was amazing. Thank you, Daddy, said Peppa. Next, Peppa went to see Miss Rabbit. I hope you're ready for a busy day, Peppa, Miss Rabbit cried. Peppa followed her as she zoomed from one job to the next. They raced from the supermarket to the fire station, on to the museum, and then to the theatre. After that, Miss Rabbit took some visitors for a helicopter ride and sold everyone some yummy ice creams. Wow, Miss Rabbit, I want to be just like you and do lots of things, said Peppa, as Miss Rabbit drove everyone home on the train. You're super at everything. If you work hard, you can be good at anything, said Miss Rabbit. Do I work hard? Asked Peppa. Yes, replied Miss Rabbit. You've been working hard with me all afternoon. You're super at everything, just like me. But when she got home, Peppa was confused. She still didn't know who to dress up as for playgroup. Mammy, Daddy and Miss Rabbit are super at everything, George. And I want to be just like them, but how can I dress up as everything? Super potato! Cheered George, soaring his toy through the air. That's it, George! Cried Peppa, having a clever idea. She headed straight to her dressing up box. The next day at playgroup, all the children were dressed up. I see you've decided to be a superhero, Peppa, said Madame Gazelle. I'm not a superhero, replied Peppa. I am super! Mammy, Daddy and Miss Rabbit said, if you believe in yourself, practice and work hard, you can be super at anything. And I do, so I'm Super Peppa. Wonderful, Peppa, said Madame Gazelle. I mean, super! Super Peppa! Hooray! Everyone cheered, racing over to the dressing up box. When they came back, they were all wearing super costumes, just like Peppa. Mammy Pig, Daddy Pig and Miss Rabbit had helped Peppa to be super. And now Peppa had helped everyone else to be super too. Super Peppa, super everyone! Announced Madame Gazelle, swishing her cape from side to side. We are all super! The end. Peppa's Happy Halloween. It is Halloween, and Peppa and her friends are at playgroup. Welcome to my Halloween pick-a-treat. says Madame Gazelle in a spooky voice. Ooh, gasped the children. What's that? I've set up some Halloween games and crafts for you, says Madame Gazelle. After each one, you may pick a treat. Outside, Madame Gazelle hands the children pumpkin buckets to collect their treats in.
Wow! This is going to be the best Halloween ever,
cheers Peppa. As the children reach the playground, they are amazed. It is filled with Halloween stalls and decorations. Hooray! At the first stall, Peppa and her friends have to guess who is hiding in the spooky costume. Guess boo, says a voice from under the sheet.
Daddy, says Peppa, I can see your glasses.
Guess boo, says another ghost.
Daddy,
says Gerald Giraffe,
I can see your arms.
Well done, everyone, says Daddy Pig. You can all pick a treat. The next stall has a game called Mummy Wrapping.
Who can wrap up their mummy like a mummy, says Miss Rabbit. Ready, steady, go!
Peppa and Susie Sheep race to see who can finish wrapping their mummy in bandages first. It's lots of fun.
Now pick a treat,
says Miss Rabbit. Hooray! Next, the children make some funny monsters.
Wow! My monster is looking at me, says Peppa, with all 4 eyes.
What a marvellous monster, cries Grandpa Pig.
Would you like to pick a treat, Peppa?
asks Granny Pig.
Yes, please,
says Peppa. Grampy Rabbit is running the magical broomstick stall. The children take turns to ride up and down on the broomstick.
I am flying on my broom,
sings Peppa,
all the way to the moon.
Great flying, Peppa, says Grampy Rabbit. It's time to pick a treat. Hooray! The children have lots of spooky fun collecting all their treats. When they have tried everything, they run up to Madame Gazelle together.
It's your turn, Madame Gazelle,
says Peppa, holding out her pumpkin bucket. What do I do? asks Madame Gazelle.
Pick a treat,
cry Peppa and her friends. Then they each give one of their treats to Madame Gazelle.
That's very kind, thank you,
says Madame Gazelle.
Happy Halloween. Thank you, says Peppa. This Halloween was the best Halloween ever.
Cheer all the playgroup friends. The end. Peppa Pig, Princess Peppa and the Royal Ball. Princess Peppa is excited for her family is having a ball at the castle tonight. Queen Mummy Pig and King Daddy Pig need help getting ready. There is so much to do before the party.
Can I invite my friends to the ball?
asked Princess Peppa. Of course, says Queen Mummy. Princess Peppa and Prince George go to the village. Princess Peppa invites her friends to the ball. Hooray! Hooray! They cheer. Everyone can come. Back at the castle, Grandpa Wizard is getting the ballroom ready.
Wow!
Princess Peppa wants to help. Grandpa Wizard uses his magic to make decorations appear from Princess Peppa's broom. Oh no! Some of the candles went out. Princess Peppa asks for help from a friendly dragon. Next, Princess Peppa helps King Daddy choose flowers for the table. They pick the best ones from the royal garden. Princess Peppa brings the flowers inside. "Thank you, Peppa. These are very pretty," says Queen Mummy. "Why don't you check on the desserts?" she asks Princess Peppa. Peppa goes to the kitchen. "What would you like to try?" the royal baker asks. "Everything, please," says Peppa says. This is the best job so far. The ballroom is ready. The food is ready. Everything is ready except Princess Peppa. She goes up to her room to change for the party. Ring! It is the doorbell. The guests are here. Princess Peppa welcomes them to her royal ball. A trumpet plays. Prince George arrives in the ballroom. Queen Mummy and King Daddy follow. Now the royal ball can begin.
Wow.
Everyone sings and dances along to the music. They eat yummy cakes and cookies. Thank you for making the royal ball so special, Princess Peppa, Queen Mummy says. And so yummy, King Daddy says. They all danced happily ever after. The end.
Hi kids, did you have fun watching this video? Then like and subscribe for more.